Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing good today. Welcome to the Morning Devo with Bowo. We're going to go through Matthew 19 part 2 today. And I heard from Michael on the comment corner that there's the Cali June gloom going on. And anyway, I hope you guys get some nice weather soon. The sun pops out. But at least it's cool, out here in the high desert. Man, we got the good stuff going, man. I think 14 maybe today. Yeah, 114. I mean, man, that is no joke. That is some heat. You think, hey, do I get on the motorcycle today? Do I get on the skateboard today? Do I, or you got to really do it at like 5 a.m. To really make a go at it because it's just too hot. Anyway, welcome to the Morning Devotions. I am Bo Willett and grew up out in San Fernando Valley and Simi Valley of Ventura County. And the same Simi Valley that was famous in the Ice Cube song that came out during the Rodney King riots. And, went to high school there. And lo and behold, a lot of friends out there, good times, a lot of SoCal lifestyle for sure. And you could probably hear that in me as well. It kind of oozes out of me at times. But love to walk through the Bible, love to go through it. I didn't go through it as a kid, wasn't raised around it. I was raised way more progressive than I think a lot of people even today. But I certainly understand progressive ideas and the movement and, that kind of thing. And it saddens my heart to watch what goes on in our world today, just because I see myself in it. I see my ignorance. I see my impulsivity. I see my zeal without knowledge. I could see myself doing everything that so many college students do today in the name of, progress and in the name of, being smart and going to university and being intellectual and being in the know and being progressive. But boy, it's weird when you get to a place where you realize that you climb the hill the preachers are all at the top, when you climb the hill, and the theologians at the top. And you think it's going to be humanism, and you think it's going to be, something Marxism. You think it's going to be a system, and it's theology, and it's God, the understanding of God at the top of the mountain. And it's really a rude awakening. It shocks you to think that just maybe I'm wrong. And that's a humbling position for sure. So Matthew 19, part 2. Let's get into it. Michael, it is a dry heat out here, but it's a brutal dry heat. It feels like today's going to feel like you are getting into an oven. I mean, it's going to feel hot. Dry heat for sure. So it says in verse 16 of chapter 19, I'll just read through it. Someone came to Jesus with this question: "Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life?" It's a great question. Hey, how do I get into heaven? And we'll kind of see how this goes. Now, this is during a time where Jesus is being peppered by a lot of people that believe they're in the know. So there's always, people that think they're in the know. They're educated, they've, read some books, they've actually been successful. They've made money off the system, but they love to critique the system. And it's kind of an interesting dichotomy. But, here's a guy who's in the know, who we know from the other Gospels, has been very successful. And we'll see that here. But he asked, hey, good teacher, trying to get on his good side, Jesus is a good teacher. You know, does he really think Jesus is a good teacher? I'm not sure. You know, when I was growing up, when I heard Jesus, sometimes I would think of Jesus as like, oh yeah, Jesus, is a good dude, kind of thing. But I really didn't know what he taught. I never really read the Bible. I didn't want to read the Bible. I didn't want to be faced with the potential of maybe being wrong. Today, do I have a heart that I'm okay with maybe being wrong? That's something that I believe there needs to be a quality in us human beings that matches that statement. That just maybe I'm wrong. Because if I don't go there, then I'm going to dig my heels in. And I'm going to just hunker down. And I might become really stiff-necked, filled with pride. But it's really difficult to say, hey, maybe I could be wrong. And when I'm in a conversation with people, I think this way, even in the conversation where I think, potentially, Bo, you could be wrong. And, walk humbly, walk gently, and be teachable. I might not agree with what they're saying, but let me try to understand what they're saying. Sometimes when you are successful, educated, it's hard to think that way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're right. Maybe they have something, the truth, and I don't. I remember thinking that as a senior in high school. That maybe maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my God that I fashioned in my brain that I call spirituality is just made up. It's imaginary. But did I really want to listen to Jesus? Or did I just want to save face? Us Californians, man, we're good at that. We want to look at least good. Maybe we don't know, but, look good doing it. That's like SoCal in a nutshell. We all love to look cool. And that we kind of grow up that way. Even if we're nerdy, we want to look cool being nerdy. Whatever it is, whatever group you're in, you want to try to do it right. You want to make sure that other people think at least that you got something together. So this guy comes to Jesus. Hey, teacher, what good deed? What must I do to have eternal life? I love it. This guy's attitude. What's he like, right? Rich, successful, got it together. And he says, why ask me what is good? I love how Jesus says that too. Why are you asking me? You got it all together. Why are you asking me what is good? You seem to got it all. Seem to know it all. Why would you come and talk to me about this? You look at the crew you're with. Look at that religious group you're with. You guys seem to got it all together. Don't see much humility over there. Because you guys are, they're talking about killing me over there. That's how much I know you guys like me. But, you're going to ask me? Jesus, I love that. Why ask me what is good? That must have been like a big kind of slap in the face. Bam. Why are you coming to me, man? It's like when someone knows that you're really doing what you're doing just to look good. To look like you know what you're doing. And even, Michael even asked a great question, but even now, it's not, I have to always have, even when I'm sharing a message, I always have to realize in my heart that I, Bo, could very well be off. And I should be tested. And that it's okay to be challenged. And remember, it's okay from the Proverbs to even be critiqued. And that humbles me. Hopefully that answers some of your question, Michael. That should bring us to a place of humility, reliance too on God. This guy doesn't seem to really have that attitude. Even though he comes off that way, there's a little bit of that, that veneer that's on him, right? That little bit of that playing around that's going on. But Jesus, catches it. Why ask me about what is good? There is only one that is good, but to answer your question, if you want to receive eternal life, keep the commandments. Jesus just, he says, hey, there's only one that's good, and that's God. Why are you asking me about what is good? There's only one that's good, and that's God. So why are you coming to me? And it's interesting that Jesus plays with this person in a sense. He walks with them. I find it amazing today that God will walk with us. I think that's fascinating. That if there is a deity that is holy and righteous and just and pure and upholds that perfectly, why would that God want to be around us? Look at us. Why would that deity, in a sense, have any kind of fellowship with us? And it's because the deity also has a beautiful equal proportion of love and compassion and mercy and grace. See, if your God is just righteous and just, but he doesn't have an equal proportion of love, grace, and mercy, then what do you have? Kind of scary. You got this 800-pound gorilla in the sky somewhere who's just going to throw down, just judge. But if you just have this loving, graceful, merciful, with no righteousness, then you have a deity that is just this compromised person who really is indifferent to acts of evil. That doesn't sound good too, because it sounds like the planet where humans have either an incredible pride or we have an incredible depression. And the good news of Jesus Christ is to be that thing that balances us out. It is to take the depressed and raise them to glory. And it is to take the proud and humble them. And so Jesus plays along, and I find that cool. So it says, but to answer your question, if you want to receive eternal life, keep the commandments. Which ones? The man asked. Jesus replied, you must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You must not steal. You must not testify falsely. Honor your father and mother and love your neighbor as yourself. Now, I love this. Jesus gives, when he talks about the commandments, he talks about the 10 commandments, but then he talks about just one of the main commandments in the Torah that's not included in the 10 commandments, but it's included in the writings of Moses. And that is the love your neighbor as yourself. So we see that Jesus looks at these moral commandments, these moral laws, as imperative. They are important. They are the top. They are the things that are universal, if you will. What gets you into eternal life? Notice he doesn't say, don't eat pork. He doesn't say, what gets you into eternal life? Make sure you grow your hair long, which was a command, right? Don't cut the sides. Let the tassels, let the burns grow. Don't be shaven, Shaven was a sign, of course, of disease and a lot of things, shame and stuff like that. It's kind of opposite today, right? A lot of people cut their hair short, and it means different things in our culture. But there's wearing tassels, not wearing different material of clothes, stuff like that. Jesus never doesn't say that. Jesus says the commandments. And he lists them out. And he also says, love your neighbor as yourself, which is in the Torah. Which ones, the man asked, and Jesus replied, and he says that. And then he says, I've obeyed all these commandments. The young man replied, what else must I do? What do I still lack? And that is the sad part. Upon hearing this dude has the audacity and the pride to be like, man, that's so cool. I keep all those things. It's great. How many of us in the church think this way? That we really think that if Jesus were to sit down with you and you ask him, oh man, what must I do to have eternal life? God, I'm doing so good. And we think Jesus is going to give off a list and we're going to say, oh yeah, I do all that, Jesus. I must be in. I must be good to go. That Jesus would be like, oh yeah, great. We kind of tend to think that Jesus would give us kind of this list and we would think that we do it. And notice he says, what else must I do? Meaning, these things are all things that I do all the time. And it's so sad that you see the human quality of arrogance and blindness and, to our really how we are. And the overarching pride that blinds us and makes us where we can't even see, the issues. We can't see things straight. We can't see ourselves straight. We can't see things out there straight. We are no longer in the clear. We can't see clarity. This guy couldn't see. You really think you loving your neighbor as yourself? You could look at the 10 Commandments and you could say, oh yeah, I don't steal. You can say, hey, I've never committed adultery. You could say, oh yeah, you could kind of play this game with the 10 Commandments, but it's hard to play the game with love your neighbor as yourself. That's a tough one to play the game with, right? Do I really love my neighbor as myself? Who's my neighbor? Who am I really supposed to love? And Jesus gave some great teachings about that, right? The Good Samaritan. Yeah, that Samaritan, he's the one in the right. He's the one who's doing the right thing, not you priests, not you Levites. There's a really tough message. And this person just it oozes out of him. All the yucky stuff oozes out of him. What must I do? What else must I do? Man, I'm doing all that stuff. Man, okay, is there anything else? Come on, Jesus, give it to me. Test me. And Jesus tells him, so okay, you want to be tested, bro? So if you want to be perfect, go and sell all your possessions and give your money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. Hey, you want to get in? You want to get into the kingdom of heaven? You want to be perfect? You want to get in that way by being absolutely perfect? Then go ahead and sell everything you have and have a heart for people. Love people. Take your money. Give it away to people. Help them out. Man, you'll have great riches in heaven. It'll be amazing. Come follow me, dude. Follow my way. Though I am rich, I have become poor. Right? That's the great passage in Corinthians. Though he was rich, Jesus is rich. Why? Because he is God in human flesh. He has humbled himself. Come follow me. Come walk humbly with me. Come walk to the cross with me. Come walk to your crucifixion. Come walk to your, humbling. Or do you still want to be in with the world? Or you still want to be, in with everybody? Do you still want to have your social club? Your people patting you on the back? Your prestige, your reputation, your respect. Sell everything you have. The economy of heaven is you give it away. You got something far better. Aren't you trusting that? Don't you trust that there is a heaven to gain and a hell to shun? I'm telling you how you can be perfect. You want to get in on your morals? You want to get in on your morality, your ethics? Then here you go. Do it. Go for it. This guy says, what else must I do? What do I still lack, Jesus? You lack everything, bro. You lack it all. What a message and what a slap. You don't got it together, my friend, Jesus says. You are lost. You're not thinking of heaven. You're not thinking of others. You're not thinking of me. You're not like the little children who come to me, who follow me, who want to be with me. That's not on your mind. Your view of heaven is not God. It's not me. It's you. It's you having, going to heaven and having some crazy party, having some crazy pleasure. That's your view of heaven. It's not me. You don't see me as great. You don't see me as worth it all. You don't see the value of me. He just exposes us humans in such a short period of time. And the answer to this would have been, you're right. Us humans don't know what we're doing. We think we're following the great progressive commandments of the world. We think we're fighting for the little people. We think we are conquering those oppressors out there. What more do I still lack? I'm doing everything so right. Just to find out that you're not loving the right object, your views are not the right views, your ideology is off. You use all the right words. It seems like there's a hint of it all right there, a show of it all, but it has no power. It's really not, you're not focusing on the right object. Because if you were, and if you really, really had it together, man, you would be like, absolutely. What is my money compared to being with God? There's no comparison. Sometimes Jesus reveals that our God is way, way too small. I think it's J.I. Packer. Do you guys remember J.I. Packer? I think it is. Or it might be a different writer, but he wrote Your God is Too Small, a book years ago. This is back in the 80s. Yeah, it might be. You can look that up. J.I. Packer, something like that. Your God is Too Small. It's a book, old book, 1970, something like that. But it's about that. It's about that idea. So, and then, but the young man heard this and he went away, for he had many possessions. Ooh, again, he has all this money, right? Value. What do you really value? Possessions are going to go bye-bye. God, forever. Eternity, it's a long time. It's irrational. It's not rational for us to become so consumed by the material when we all know we're going to die and face eternity. Death is eternal, no matter what state it's in. It is eternal. And it doesn't make sense. It's not rational. It's irrational to ignore something that is going to happen. But many of us do. And he goes away bummed. I tell you the truth, it is very hard for a rich to enter the kingdom of heaven. I'll say it again, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom. Hey, guess what? It's hard for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. And you go, whoa. And the disciples were astounded. Then who in the world can be saved? They said, hey, rich people, they're the ones that are blessed, aren't they? Aren't they the ones who are for sure doing the right thing? And Jesus says, it is impossible. Isn't that awesome? That Jesus looks at his culture's view on the rich, that they are obviously blessed, that's why they're rich, and they obviously are doing things right. And Jesus says it's impossible for those who you think are going to heaven to go to heaven. It is impossible for them. No one can go to heaven. That's the answer. No one can go to heaven. We are all destined for a one-way ticket trip to separation from a holy, righteous God, unless God makes a way, a bridge for me to get there, to him. And it's going to have to be one where he covers my sin. He's going to have to deal with it by covering it because he can't ignore it. Notice he says it is impossible to go to heaven, for the rich to go to heaven. But he says, the disciples ask him, then who can be saved, right? And he says, humanly speaking, it is impossible. That's right, you humans are toast, man. And that makes sense to me, because we are, look at us. But with God, everything is possible. Pretty cool. With a powerful God, a God who has an equal proportion of love and grace and mercy, there is a possibility to be saved, to be secure in your salvation, to know that you're saved. But it's not contingent on your ability to keep the commandments or do everything, or to think like, oh, I'm doing it all. No, it's got to be something God does, because it's impossible for you. But it's possible because of God, who has that infinite love and that infinite grace. Whoa. So Peter said to him, we're giving up everything to follow you. What will we get? Hey, we're doing the right things. Now notice what Jesus says to Peter. Hey, I assure you, Peter, that when the world is made new and the Son of Man sits upon his glorious throne, interesting, new world coming, Jesus sitting on the throne, a kingdom that will be on the earth with Jesus sitting and ruling and reigning. Interesting. You who have been my followers will also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Hey, there's going to be a government with Jesus involved in it, and the disciples involved as well. And everyone who has given up houses or brothers or sisters or father or mother or children or property for my sake hey, is the rich person, the person who asked the question, Jesus, what must I do to get into heaven? He really wasn't into, giving up the old property, right? Giving up the old social club, giving up the old house, whatever it was, right? And Jesus says, but whoever sees me is worth it for my sake, man. Whoever sees me is valuable for my sake. Notice how Jesus puts himself on the same value par as Yahweh. Who is the value? Who is the one we value in the Bible? It is God. We are not to worship any other gods. He is the value. He is the utmost best. And Jesus says, anyone who gives up houses or brothers or sisters or mother or children or property for my sake, man, you see the worth of me. He says, will receive 100 times as much in return and will inherit eternal life. You look at me right, man, a reward awaits you. That is very Old Testament like when it comes to Yahweh. Looking to Yahweh, and he will grant us eternal life and reward us for our faithfulness. The Psalms are loaded with that kind of language. And this is what Jesus says. He does the same exact thing, but he is the object of value, always claiming to be the deity. He gives eternal life. But many who are the greatest now will be least important then, and those who seem important now will be the greatest then. So I love that. Jesus is the one who gets it right. He's the real progressive person. He's the one who really understands oppressor, oppressed, all that stuff. He's the one who really gets it right. He's the one who says that the greatest now will be least in the greatest, or in the kingdom, right? Many who will be greatest now will be least important then. And those who seem least important now, the guys who no one knows about, not popular, just the peasants, they will be the greatest then. This is what a lot of the progressive movement is trying to do. They know that Jesus speaks the truth. They think they can do it on the earth. They can do it. And that's the problem, is you can't. You will mess it up. You will get the wrong people. You will put the wrong, chess pieces, in the wrong places. You will get the people wrong, the places wrong. You will, instead of getting the oppressor and the oppressed right, you will get those people wrong. But this is what they're trying to do. But Jesus says he'll do it. It's his kingdom. Be faithful to me. Trust me. See me as worth everything. Value me. Treasure me. Follow me. I'll get you there. I'll get you into eternal life. You can't do it. Woo! Man, there's a lot of cool stuff there. J.B. Phillips. Okay, Michael got it, corrected me. J.B. Phillips was the author of that book on Your God is Too Small. So I wasn't lying to you guys, I just made a mistake. I think J.I. Packer might have wrote Evangelism and the Sovereignty of God. That might have been J.I. Packer. I don't know. I sometimes get those names confused, but hey, you guys take care. Have a great day, okay? Bye-bye.